we will kick off. A very warm for those who don't know me, my name's Alan Hale. I have the privilege of chairing the Keynsham Area of Forum, which obviously goes out much wider than Keynsham. So we welcome everybody that joins us. And we've had a few apologies. Do you want to list the apologies, Alison, or just note them that you've got them?
I've only got Kath Hovland down as an apology.
Well, there we go then.
Today, okay. So that's good.
So those are the apologies. We've got a couple of updates, and Adrian, who is vice chairman, I think he's got them in front of him, and we'll just read them out to us.
Yeah, certainly, Alan. Yeah, no problem, Alan, will do. As Alan said, a couple of updates. The first one is on the A4 Bath to Bristol Strategic Corridor. Many of you remember that the forum had a presentation on this back in July of last year, and that was followed by a further public engagement. This generated a lot of feedback, and an engagement report is currently being prepared by the authority. Be published on the Have Your Say West website once complete. WECA's community on the 15th of March. If approval is given for the project to continue, there will be a further work to refine designs and develop the scheme proposals. A further public consultation on the revised proposals will then be held later in 2024. The project will continue to be led by WECA, and a fuller update on the City Region Sustainable Transport Settlement Programme, that's a mouthful, isn't it, will be circulated after this meeting. The other update is on the plan. And say that consultation opened on the 12th of February, and we're to the 8th.
You're breaking up, Adrian, and you're breaking up on the important bits.
Okay, I'll start again. You say the local plan is the other update we've got. That consultation opened on the 12th of February and will run through until the 8th of April. Local plans are the heart of the planning system and are the main consideration in deciding planning applications locally. So it's important that people out there say at this stage of the process. There will be a series of drop-in sessions where people can discuss the options with council officers. The first one of these is tomorrow, 22nd of February. That's in the community space in Keynsham. The next one will be the 29th of February. That will be at Saltford Hall. And the final one will be the 6th of March, and that will be at the Whitchurch United Reformed Church. They all take place between 3 p.m. in the afternoon and 7 in the evening. And we circulate that information following on from this meeting, so everybody will have knowledge of that at their fingertips. So I think that's all of it, Alan. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for that, Adrian. All I would do is encourage people to put in an appearance tomorrow at the public event. I mean, myself and a couple, well, Andy, who's also present tonight, and Duncan, we were on the sort of lead-in consultations, and I think it would be very worthwhile to have a strong attendance. I'll leave it at that because I don't want to put my thoughts in your mind, but what's on offer certainly should be looked at very carefully by your good selves representing the community, in my humble opinion. Okay, thanks for that, Adrian. We've had apologies from the police, and we've also had apologies from the Avon Fire and Rescue Service. We've sort of talking earlier, we probably think that they are tied up with flooding and the like. So, you know, we have to accept that situation. Simple as that. I mean, we can, so we've not got an update as such. Sorry. Somebody speak now. So we have a, do we have John William? We do, John, yes. Welcome,
yeah,
John.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
John Williams is going to do the community showcase for us this evening. As you probably know, we have a community showcase at each meeting. So if you have anything within your community that you think other people would like to know about, then please feel free to speak to Alison or Sarah, well, or indeed myself for that matter. But you know, the two ladies are the ones who make all this happen, so they are your best port of call initially. Yeah, John. So John Williams is vice chairman of Salford Sports Club, and is going to give us a presentation about the sports club. So thank you for that, John. The floor is yours.
No worries. Thank you very much, all. Thank you for inviting me along and kind of having me along. I was going to give kind of an overview of, many of you may not know Salford Sports Club, but I was just going to give an overview of what we've been doing with the sports club in the last couple of years. The sports club, I guess, is one of the key community resources we have in Salford. You know, we're very lucky to have Salford Hall as a fantastic facility, but we've also got our kind of sports club that I've been involved with over the past couple of years. And the sports club, really, what we've done over the past couple of years is look at, you know, what our mission is as an organization. And really, the sports club itself is over 60 years old. It's been in the community supporting various different sporting activities. Really looking now at how we grow that sporting participation in the community, whether that's playing, whether that's volunteering, whether that's just supporting teams or doing that. You know, how do we get more members of the community involved in our sporting environment? And Salford Sports Club itself has over 650 members in Salford, so it's quite well supported as part of the community. And within there's kind of two key clubs: Salford Football Club, which is in itself over 120-year-old football club, of which I am also chairman. And in that we have about just over 150 junior playing members and over 80 senior playing members in the club there. And then Salford Cricket Club, which again we've got over 50 juniors now and 20 seniors. And really, between those two organisations, we kind of make up the majority of Salford Sports Club and what we look to do and organise in the community. Now, as well as that, we look at all different ways, and we've looked at all different ways we can kind of add to that, because obviously cricket and football is not necessarily everyone's sporting environment. So we have a very active in-house Skittles league at the club. We're very lucky to be one of the few places with a Skittles alley still. So we have a 10-team in-house Skittles league with well over 100 playing members playing 5 nights a week for most of the year, ranging from anything up to, I think our oldest playing members are well into their 90s. So it's quite a broad community-led activity. We've recently added, with the help of Salford Parish Council, we've recently added a pétanque court to our outdoor. Skittles was very much a kind of winter sport, winter-autumn sport. We've added pétanque outside, or boule, as you may know it, boule courts outside. And we've currently got 3 teams regularly playing matches. And again, we're bringing an in-house league in there. And really what we're trying to do, our concept behind adding that, for example, was to give people of all ages, all sporting abilities, something to do if they want to come along and just have a friendly game and play. And that's starting to take off and look well as well. We also unusually have our own baseball team who play with us, Bristol Vetra, who are in the AAA league. They are one of the top, one of the very top baseball teams in the country, fighting for the national championship every year, strangely out of Salford. So if you ever want to come and watch huge guys hit baseballs in the summer, you will see them in Salford on a Sunday, as well as things like darts. And we also have really great relationships with Salford Tennis Club and the Badminton Club. So really looking at how we use more areas of the community to kind of try and
Sorry, John, you're muted. Apologies. I think that was my fault for muting you. I do apologise.
That's all right. I was probably not saying anything very interesting. How far back? Just recently?
Yeah. So I think at the start of this slide, sorry
Okay,
about that.
Fine. So the sports club itself, we obviously have our clubhouse there as kind of a community facility, and we've done a lot of work and activity in the last sort of 12, 18 months now to really try and improve the usage of our facilities. We've got now over 1,000 people regularly using the sports club and the facilities, whether that's playing, whether that's just coming in and watching sports on TV, or whether that's supporting, you know, family members or friends in terms of various different sports. We've managed to have a real uptake and push in terms of people coming in and using what is a community facility. As well as that, we put in a community orchard that lots of the other local groups have got involved with, people like the Scouts and things like that, in planting areas in our community orchard in kind of corners of our fields, which we've done. And also last winter, and then following on this winter, we opened up to what we branded Welcome Wednesdays, which was really opening up to, you know, wider members of the community just to come along for something warm to eat, tea, free coffee, free food, bit of a chat, play some games, do some different things. And that's been fantastically well supported, and we've ran that all through the year. We initially started last winter, winter 22-23, and actually we carried on all the way through the summer. Once, you know, we were getting a good community of people who were really getting involved in terms of wanting to come along and socialize. So we run that every Wednesday as well, and that's fantastically supported. And those of you who all know Flourish Food Hall, they very kindly provide us the food for that, which is fantastic. So we can give, you know, a nice free meal and some free drinks and some lovely cakes. We had for quite a long time. We had Giuseppe, the baker off British Bake Off, providing all the cakes for us. So it was quite nice for everyone to come along and use that. And then also we've had quite a few times now the Keynsham Mencap group come and use the facilities quite a lot, whether that's been as in the picture there, playing petanque or playing skittles, or just generally using the facilities. It's nice to kind of include them. And then also we're kind of supporters, and we host the Salford Santa Dash, where we get our 600-700 Santas running around the village. So really looking at different ways where we can bring more areas of the community into what we do and encourage them kind of to come down, to use the fields, to use the facilities, to use the clubhouse, and kind of get more. I muted myself there. And the way we really looked at doing this was back in sort of late 22, we put together or mid 22, we put together a strategic plan for the sports club. It was a multi-year plan looking at, okay, what are we going to do for the next kind of 3 years, really to revitalize the club. The club had kind of muddled along for a number of years. Not a lot of innovation, not a lot of investment in terms of what we'd done. So as a committee, we kind of got together, organized, and really went to say, okay, what is our mission as an organization? What are we trying to do in our village? And what are our kind of focus areas that we want to improve and improve as a community facility? And that really allowed us to kind of focus what investments, what projects we were looking at. We put 63 different initiatives we wanted to achieve over the years. We've done, it says 39 on here. We've actually done a few more since I put this slide together. And then looking at things like, you know, what's the formal structure of our club and how is that reviewed? And that strategic plan was really key to us starting to move the club forward, get more people in the village involved, improve the facilities greatly, because we kind of had an objective, we had a target, we had something we all agreed and we started to aim for. And over the past 12 months or so, you know, we have completely renovated things like the reserve changing rooms, which was just a derelict building. Luckily, we managed to get some investment from the Football Foundation to support that and turn that back into a fantastic facility. Our first team changing rooms that our cricket and our football teams do have had a complete overhaul, and you know, the Somerset County Football League recommend them as one of the best in the county now. And again, we went for funding, we went for investment from the Football Foundation to do some of that. We put in our petanque court to try and encourage people there. We revamped the outdoor social area, the patio area, try and get more people in the summer to come along and enjoy the outdoor space. The one of the very nice things we have with the club, with the field, with the sporting facilities, is particularly in the summer, it's quite a great place for families to come. Parents can sit down, have a drink, enjoy themselves. Kids can kick a football round, throw a cricket ball, do whatever they want to do in a large open space that is very, very useful. So we've really upgraded what we've done outdoors there, and also put in things like new bifold doors and windows into the clubhouse to make it a lot more attractive. And then done things like, completely upgrading all the audio and visual. So if you want to watch a sporting event anywhere now, then Salford Sports Club is probably your place. We've got half a dozen different TV screens in there showing pretty much every sport going, and we get quite a lot of the community in there when there's big football, cricket, rugby games or sporting events on, which is fantastic. Now, along with that, we've had to do a lot of infrastructure stuff with security and cameras and complete new boilers, new heating, new lighting, electrically rewire the whole thing, fire risk assessments, and really kind of not very exciting things, as well as refitting the whole cellar in the bar area. One of the other big things we've done was get a big maintenance grant from the Football Foundation as well, to allow us to run a multi-year pitch maintenance program across all of our football pitches, to really improve the quality of pitch our teams play on. And one of the outcomes of that is, having reseeded everything, having everything now been verti-drained and been really run under a professional maintenance program of the sporting fields. What you will often find is on a weekend, Salford will be playing, and occasionally we are the only team in the league in the local area playing, because we put the investment and the money into the maintenance of the pitches to kind of really improve the quality of them. And that's led to a number of times where, especially this winter, where certainly in the Somerset League, Somerset County League, we've been the only team able to play because our facilities have drained well, have kind of held up well, because of the work that's been done. So there's been lots and lots of investment that we've done, kind of, mainly from our ability to go and get grants from the Football Foundation, from the ECB, from the cricket. We've had some money from Salford Parish Council, and really looking at what all different avenues are available to us. I think one thing we've realised since we put this plan in place is there are a lot of avenues for grants and monies available to clubs, like us, sporting and non-sporting, and really it's about putting the investment in to go and try and find those and try and go and apply for that money. So we've managed to put more in the past 12 months in terms of investment than we have done probably ever in the club's history, if I'm honest, in terms of what we've done. And that, in terms of where we take that next, we've done quite a lot growing the football club recently to kind of add new age groups, bringing minis from the age of 4 years old now, looking at adding extra senior teams next year. But really, one of the big things we're looking to do, and one of the big advantages of redoing all our changing rooms and changing facilities, was to allow us to host girls' sport and ladies' sport. There's quite a lot of requirements around what is required from a facilities perspective for us to be allowed to do that. We now have the facilities up to scratch to be able to do that, and we're in conversation both with Somerset FA as well as Somerset County Cricket Board about how we bring women's cricket, probably softball cricket, into the club, as well as how we look at sporting girls football and bringing that into the club as well. So that's been really positive for us to enable us to do that. We've also over the last couple of years restarted a junior cricket section. Salford hadn't had any junior cricket sections for nigh on 20 some plus years. Last year we had our first under 11s team starting to play league cricket matches, and we fully anticipate, as I said earlier, we had 50 children playing cricket last year. I'm sure this summer we'll get a lot more. We'll be getting more and more every week, and I'm really proud of the fact that we've managed to get more and more kids into that in Salford, when Keynsham Cricket Club, for those of you who know, is fully oversubscribed and is a fantastic facility, but it just can't take all the children who want to play. So for us not to have had that was a real shame. So by being able to add that back in, it's been really, really positive. And then also one of the other things we need to look at now is where we invest next on our plan. What are the next things we kind of look to go and get money for, to get investment for, or really just from the cash we take over our bar. In the last 2 years, we've managed to move the turnover of the club as a whole from 128,000 to this year we will be closer to 350,000 turnover in a couple of years. That money, that extra money we're getting, is allowing us to go and start looking at, okay, what do we do next for, we need to buy a new tractor, we need side screens, we need scoreboards, we need new fencing, new dog baths, all these things we want to do to bring the facilities up. And this really gives us the opportunity to start to look at some of those. And then in the clubhouse themselves, we've already recently just redone all the disabled toilets, done brand new toilet facilities. We'll be doing those for the ladies and gents as well. We have some structural work we need to do on the clubhouse itself, as well as putting in new an additional fire and capabilities and exit capabilities. So, we are looking at all the different ways we can bring the whole facility, both on the sporting fields up together, but also in kind of the clubhouse as well, because that fundamentally is where we generate a lot of our money to go and then invest back into all the sporting facilities. So they kind of go hand in hand. So that's kind of my overview of what we've done with the club in the last couple of years, and I'm more than happy now to kind of take any questions from anyone on kind of what we've done, how we've done it, and what we're planning to do next.
John, thank you for that. And you've obviously been practicing, because you came in spot on. Fine example for anybody following you.
You're welcome.
Are there any questions following a very full and very enlightening presentation, I have to say? Well, we'll take that as a no, John. So thank you so much for coming along. I'll just pick up on one point you made about Keynsham MenCap using your facilities from time to time. I'll just throw in a mention for Keynsham MenCap, because one of my granddaughters is all of the time trying to encourage new volunteers. So if you know of anybody that's looking for something to do, I think there are 3 evenings a week, but you don't have to do all 3. So just give it some thought. John, thank you very much. And obviously you're more than welcome to stay with us for the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
So moving on, we now have a presentation regarding the new Keynsham Recycling Centre, which you will all, well, I don't know, perhaps you won't all be familiar with, but Lisa Gore from Waste Strategy and Project Delivery, or she is the Waste Strategy and Project Delivery Manager with Baines, is going to speak to us about the reuse shop. And that's well worth a visit if you haven't been there yet. And also Suzanne Luton. I apologize, Suzanne, if that isn't pronounced correctly, the Luton, or is it Luton?
It's Luton, like
Luton.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
You're okay.
I dropped a T.
You're okay.
And Suzanne is the Senior Community Business Partner with Farron's, who were obviously heavily involved with the development. And Suzanne will speak about their social value program. So I don't know whether you, Suzanne and Lisa, have worked anything out between you. On my list, Lisa, you're the first name on my list. So are you going to kick off?
I will do, if that's all right with you, Suzanne. I have got a little presentation, but I know I've got 5 minutes, so it's a tough act to follow, John. Bear with me. Shall I share my screen? Bear with me a second. There we go. Ooh, can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah, great. So let me just skip to the start. Yeah, so thank you for having me. Obviously, you've already introduced me. Thank you, Alan. So Lisa Gore, Waste Strategy and Project Delivery Manager with the council. So one of my big projects this year has been this reuse shop in Keynsham that you can see. So we're positioned, for those that haven't been yet, we're just inside the entrance to the recycling centre in Keynsham, and it's strategically placed there. So we're looking to try and catch items before they go in the bins at the top. So anything that's still of value, we're reusing through the shop there. So we've opened this shop really with the key aims of delivering for local residents, getting low cost items and keeping it back in circulation in line with a circular economy, in line with the council's climate emergency. We're pretty good, I would like to say, with our recycling record with our Baines residents. We get around 57-58% recycling, but actually when you break it down, we're only reusing less than 1% of all of that material. So this is really a drive to start addressing that, really. The reuse shop opened end of October, and it didn't open with any budget. It's got to be a self-sustaining initiative. So we're just starting to get there now, where we're making enough income to cover our operating costs, which is mostly wages. Ethos of supporting local charities, which I'll come on to, and obviously saving items from our waste streams at the top. And as I've already mentioned, supporting our waste hierarchy and our waste strategy, really. So I've just got a few images to show you, really, for those that haven't been. This is inside the shop. So we've got a fairly decent space. We've got a little outdoor area with sporting equipment, garden tools, DIY equipment, you name it, it seems to come into our shop. We've got a huge array of skis and ski boots at the moment in there. So if anyone's looking to take up, we've got cricket gear, John, if you want to send anyone our way for wickets and cricket balls. We've got a small vintage area for the older furniture coming through, but I would say it changes constantly. You know, you go in there one week and you think you've set up a nice window display, and suddenly someone's coming along and brought all those items in the window. We've got huge amounts of tables, chairs, cabinets. It's all there, really. So just to give you a bit of a flavour. Let's have a look. Next slide. Yeah, racking all down one edge. So we've got lots of crockery that we're selling for around 20 pence per item, to give you a bit of an idea, just to keep it moving, nice and low value. Huge amounts of toys. Yeah, as you can see in this bottom photo here, we've even sold 3 of the Farron's cable drums. Did you know that, Suzanne? So the big industrial drums that were used on the construction site have come in, and we've sort of badged them up as barbecue tables, and they've sold that way. So we are really trying to make use of everything that's coming through our site. Let's move to the next one. Yeah, so our charity partners, really, this really is around building these links locally. So there's obviously a lot of charity networks in Baines already that we're really keen to link in with. So we've been busy building a bit of a network, really. We're working with Bath Share and Repair, so that's their volunteers on the right there. They come in fortnightly and they test and function test electrical goods for their home care kits, so kettles, lamps, those sort of items, and then we sell them and we split the profits. They also come in and sort of look through what's of use to them for their library of things in Bath. So that's the whole premise around borrow, don't buy. And then this is Sofa Project, who also started to come in regularly and pick up any of the electricals that we can't sell, or goods that need a bit more TLC, like this lovely cabinet that needed a bit of carpentry work. So again, with just building those links. Small Stuff Baby Bank, based in Radstock. They're now, we're saving items for the families they're supporting in from Radstock, and they're starting to come in on a regular basis. We'll just keep an area at the back ready for them. Other ones that we've started linking up with: Mercy in Action, Petra's Project, again, that's sort of more baby equipment, Julian House with the bike workshops. We're also just trying to join up council services. So we've got our internal welfare support teams that are sending families that they're supporting our way, or they're coming in on their behalf, along with the resettlement teams. Again, they've been in on behalf of other families they're working with. Who else? Public Health, they've started talking to us about bikes and how we could link up with them with their active travel projects. So yeah, any sort of community links that we can build and keep this self-sustaining really is our plan here. We've worked closely with trading standards just to make sure we're cleaning, checking, cataloguing all items coming in. But just to give you a bit of a flavour, I suppose to date we've had 5,500 customers through the door since the end of October. We've reused around 10 tonnes of waste or waste, I should say, not waste someone's treasure. And we're making around £300 on average daily, which is covering our operating costs, which is staff wages. So it's breaking even, which is the good news for us. But yeah, pop down and have a visit. Hopefully I've kept to my 5 minutes, Alan, but further details if needed, all up there. Get in contact with us. We've got a Facebook page where we're posting photos, getting people engaged with it. But yeah, we'd love to see you down there. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Lisa. That was well, I've been down myself, so I know what it's like. But certainly would encourage anybody who's passing to just pop in and have a look at it, because it's, well, as you saw, it's quite a big facility. And it's doing all of the right things, as Lisa pointed out, for climate emergency and recycling and everything else that we would want to achieve. So you will be more than welcome by the folks who work down there. Thank you, Lisa. Very kind.
Thank you.
Alan, there's a couple of questions. There's one in the chat, and I think Dave Biddleston has got his hand up as well.
David.
Yeah, just a quick one. I wonder, I hope you can hear me okay. I'm wondering if there are going to be plans to open at the weekend.
So we're open on Saturday, Dave, but not on Sunday at the moment. It is all around staffing. So potentially in the future, but at the moment it's just Saturdays.
Yeah, I must have missed you this Saturday then, but thanks very much.
Do you know what? Last Saturday was the only Saturday with half term that we couldn't open, and we did try and publicise it. So it's typical. So apologies about that, but we'll be open this Saturday.
Okay, and you say Dave was the other one, or was that Dave?
Adrian's got his hand up, and then there was a question in the chat, which was any plans for collections?
No, to be honest, with collections at the moment, we run our large item collections, bulky waste service, we call it, and that runs, yeah, we're starting to look at how we can divert items of use into the shop, but really it is a resourcing and a budget issue for us. It's potentially down the line, who knows, but not at the immediate term, any collections.
Lisa, if somebody had something large and wanted to donate it to the shop and was willing to pay the charge for the council's collection of large items and made it clear to whoever, would that work?
I think it will start to, yes, because the bulky waste collection vehicle now will come into the Keynsham site, but we're just still settling into our new home there. So we will get there eventually. We'll start cherry picking over the decent things in the bulky waste van. We're not far off it.
Okay, no, that's fine. You've obviously not that long moved in, but at least you got rid of the cardboard boxes. Most people seem to live with those forever when they move. Yeah. Dave Biddleston, you had a question, or was that Dave?
That was Dave. It's Adrian that's got his hand up now.
Sorry, Adrian.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. Lisa, you touched on working with other agencies within the council, for instance, and I just wondered what links you had with like social services, with social landlords like Curo, for instance, in terms of referrals and things like that.
Yeah, nothing with Curo as yet. I've seen there's some colleagues on, so we can make some links. We're working with our own internal welfare team, so our own welfare and resettlement teams at the moment. But yeah, happy to spread the net really and just keep things out of the waste bin. So yeah, if you've got any contacts, point them my way.
I think Bromford as well would be another one who's got quite a lot of social housing in the area, certainly in Keynsham anyway.
Yeah, okay.
All right, yeah. Okay, so moving on then. Thank you, Lisa. That was very kind.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, you're more than welcome. And Suzanne, over to your good self.
Thank you, Alan. Thanks, Lisa. Great to see the facility used after all the months of work on the building. I'm just sharing my presentation, the usual. Can everyone see it?
Yep.
Okay, I can't. Okay.
Well, I can, but
It'd be helpful if I could see what I'm talking to. Let me see. Does it come up now?
yeah, it's still there on full screen now.
Okay, I'll just I can just see the screen. I can't see your lovely faces, but I'll talk to the screen. No problem. So thank you very much for the invitation to come along this evening. I've since had a promotion since you've had my title noted there. So I'm actually head of stakeholder and social value for the whole company for Farran's now, not just within this South England region, which just means that I'm working on more projects and I'm just busier than ever. But yeah, so I'm head of social value for Farran's Construction, and we built the Keynsham Recycling Hub there in Keynsham, which most people will be familiar with. If you haven't already visited, you will know of it. Just a wee bit on Farran's. You've heard me talk before in different presentations that I've done, but we are based in Northern Ireland, head office in Belfast, but we have offices across the UK. And we employ over 600 people, been around for over 80 years, and we're part of the CRH group. So we'll look at another local company that's one of our, and within our group would be Tarmac. A lot of people would know them. They'd be big employers in the region for yourselves as well. And like I say, we're based all over the UK and Ireland, and we deliver buildings and civils projects. So projects like this for public authorities, offices, residential, a lot of student accommodation, a lot of senior living we have on the go at the moment, and also civils projects, roads, bridges, water and marine. So yeah, as regards social value, we deliver social value on every project to some extent, some more than others because it would be contractual, and also is part of the overall wish of the client and whenever we start our relationship with them. So on this project, we worked with the Bath and North East Somerset Council to develop our final social value plan and delivery, and I'm going to tell you just a bit about that tonight. We have an in-house social value team, and I'm head of that team now and looked after delivery on this project. So just as regards to the three themes that we work under, the first one for social value delivery looks at jobs, so creating local skills and employment for local people while we're working in an area. And the local labour profile that was achieved on this site was really excellent. We took our local labour profile from a 50-mile radius from the site where people were living, and 77% of the people working on site were actually within that 50-mile radius. The rest just slightly over that, not actually that much further away. And we're pleased to say that 48% of the people who actually worked on the site during the period were residents within the council area as well. We also achieved good results with some hard-to-reach groups, employing and creating opportunities for long-term unemployed, some short-term unemployed people. We worked on a programme and supported some ex-offenders, and also employed some ex-military. Training, employment opportunities, so that's where we would take on apprentices on site and support them through their apprenticeships for the period of the project, and then they would retain or be finishing out on an apprenticeship and move on to either the next level or into employment. So we had a target there to achieve 4 apprentices. We actually had 13 apprenticeships supported through site, and 4 of those were Baines residents, which is great to be able to support people locally. And placements, we also had a target of supporting 5 placements, which would be graduate and HND placements, recruitment, and maybe over the summer months, maybe for a year out. And we actually supported 7 placements there, and 3 of those were local Baines residents and others were local. We also delivered a series of education engagements. Myself and another colleague, Georgia, went out around after getting excellent contacts and the doors open from the West of England Combined Authority careers team there, and working with the local school network. We delivered environmental workshops, interview skills day, employment skills days, STEM workshops. We supported careers fairs, sustainability events, just a whole range of things across the region. And with that, we engaged with over 1,200, almost 1,300 children and young people through the scheme. And that's just a quote from Claire at IKB Academy that we did a number of initiatives with. We also hosted a range of site visits for different student groups. A group of architects came to site. We had local people with learning needs. We also supported quite a few for different BAMES staff who maybe weren't particularly involved in the project, but it was good knowledge learning for them to understand about this great investment for the council, the sustainability elements of it and everything that was going to be happening there. The next theme that we would work under is growth and supporting growth of responsible regional business. So that looks at supporting the local supply chain and spending locally within the supply chain. We had a target there to spend 4% of our overall budget on the local supply chain, and we actually achieved just over 10% of our spend spent locally. So keeps the spend within the local economy and supports the development of that supply chain and network. And we also supported a number of events which to attract new supply chain into our wider network as well for future projects. So the third theme was based around social, and that looks at supporting the local community and charities. So we, through a number of initiatives, raised funds for different activities and different charities and groups across the region to total £3,620. We also supported community projects, the Keynsham Picnic in the Park Day. We donated trees to different events. Salford Community had a tree planting day with trees we donated, and there was a couple of Europark events that we supported. Along with the council, we supported clean and green events, litter picking and cleaning the area. And then we supported local primary schools with sports kits and St John's Primary School there with their Eco Council and some equipment for them. We also hosted a number of events on site, which saw us contributing to charities and fundraising and just team days for our staff across the time we're on site, which draws local people in as well. We did actually have some neighbours join us for some of the events. And we did things where we brought in a local ice cream van, a local burger van, got everyone lunch. We also had coffee mornings. We had a day for Pride, and some of the guys grew moustaches for Movember. We also support our own workforce in the development there. So anyone we bring on locally or anyone who's working with us already, we work on their training and skills development and deliver a range of talks and training opportunities for them while they're working on site. We also look after everyone's health and well-being with a number of initiatives, including mental health training. We work with Mates in Mind, and we have a bespoke Have the Conversation training that was delivered on site with everyone, including our supply chain. And we do a lot of different well-being events as well. So overall, whenever we look at the social value return on investment, it's sitting at about 16%. So that's your added value on top of the actual investment of the council, which is an excellent result for us in the region and demonstrates the outreach that was delivered. We also delivered a range of stakeholder communications and scored the highest score of 45 in our Consider Constructor scheme assessments throughout the scheme, with newsletters and notifications going out locally. We had a dedicated email, 24/7 call centre. We held meetings, and we also worked closely with the comms team and the council to make sure that comms and PR activities were lined up with them, particularly around the highways activity that we were delivering. And just to say that it was a great project for me to work on as well. I think at the start when I presented early, I said that the biggest part for me is building my network and learning who's in the region already and who I can work with and what partners. And the council were excellent there at opening doors and signposting, particularly the community team here, the employment and skills team, the recycling and waste management team, HR, the comms team, and also the local school network and local charity partners too. So yeah, we worked really well, and it's a credit to the region how well you all work together as a group, and this forum is another example. And just to finish, to say that we have we're moving on now to deliver a project at Bristol Airport, so we're not too far away. We're going to be building the new multi-storey car park there, and while it's a different council area, we'll be working with different colleagues there, but we'll probably touch back into this region given the success already. So we're still on the doorstep locally anyway. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
That was very interesting. Thank you for that. There may well be questions, I'm sure. Does anybody have any questions? Could you perhaps shut your presentation down, or the screen share? Ah, that's better. Any questions of Suzanne? No, obviously you did a good job there to
Perfect.
cover everything. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's a great facility for, well, it's a great facility for Baines, but it's a great facility for the town as well. So
excellent.
Thank you for your input there.
Thank you.
Right. So moving on again, you're more than welcome to stay with us for the rest of the meeting, but equally, if you need to get away, then we will understand, and indeed yourself, Lisa, as well. So we're now going to move on and have a presentation regarding Tintagel Close in Keynsham and the Bath Road development. This is an update which is going to come from Mukhtar Ali, who is the development manager, Peter Roberts, the senior planning manager, and Soray Roche Walker. And again, my apologies if I've mispronounced that first name. How did I do, Soray? Or should I sorry?
Slow off, Alan, but it's not a problem. Hi, everyone. I'm Suri. I'm the Development Communications Manager at Curo. Thanks for introducing my colleagues, and thanks, Lisa and Suzanne, for your presentations earlier. So I lead on our communications activities across all of our developments. So really great to be here with you all, and really excited to share our proposals with you. So the way that we've set this up is basically just a development update, everything that we've got going on in the local area. I was hoping that we could basically run through each of the schemes and then save the questions to the end, just in the interest of time. But yeah, assuming that works for everybody, I'll just share my screen and get our presentation up. If you can bear with me just 1 second. 1 minute, it's not wanting to let me share this. Apologies, I think my bins are being cleared as we speak, probably heading towards the Keynsham Recycling Centre. I don't know if you're all able to hear that. So is everybody able to see this presentation?
Yes, we are.
I'll say yes, so I imagine everybody can see it.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I'll just mute myself because, as I mentioned, my bins are going. But I think the first step on this sort of update is going to be with our senior planning manager for Curo Enterprise, Peter Roberts.
Thank you for the intro there. Can you put that as a full slide? Sorry.
Yeah, of course. Is that working if I full screen like that? Can everyone see?
My screen's frozen, but let's give it a go. Can you move on to the next slide?
Yeah, of course. So where are we at here? What can you see?
I can just see Bath Road, Keynsham at the moment.
Sorry, I think that, is that any better?
It's kind of greyed out at the moment, from what I can see at least.
How is it for everybody else?
It's fine now.
Yeah? So I'm on the background slide, so can you see that?
Yes, yeah, I can now. I'll let you know if I have any issues. So
we also have the speaker's face partly across the slide.
I'll see if I can move it.
We'll just close it.
I've tried to do that because there we go. Well done.
Perfect. Thank you for that. So thank you. I'm Peter Roberts. So I work at Curo Enterprise. So for those who aren't familiar, we are one big organisation, but we have a few different parts. So the enterprise part of the organisation is essentially a housing developer, and we operate essentially to build homes, both for the affordable arm of the business, but also to sell homes. And the intention is that we make profit from selling open market homes, and any profits that we do make, we plough back into the business, so back into the delivery of more affordable housing, or into the improvement of existing housing stock, or into community outreach projects. So that's why we do it, and why we take on sites like this, which are mixed tenure sites, so predominantly open market, but with some affordable housing as well. So this site, I'm sure you're all aware of it. It's Bath Road, Keynsham. So it's directly adjacent to the Hookah Park, which was predominantly built out by Crest Nicholson, but Curo did have an element of it. So in terms of kind of the back to it, so it's a site with outline planning permission. So it's already got planning permission for 213 homes, or around 213 homes, and it was also allocated for development within the local plan. So the principle of development has already been kind of established and agreed through that. And really the key thing that means is the number of homes has been, or the broad number of homes has been approved. And then the critical issues that I know cause some concern, things like access and highways impact, have also been assessed at that outline stage and approved. And then we've got kind of the scope of the mitigation, which was also approved at that outline stage. So that's the financial contributions and such, and I'll come on to that shortly. So just in terms of the specifics of that outline permission, so that allows for 213 homes, as I said, and 30% of that being affordable housing. It provides a detailed approval for the junction onto the A4, so that's a signalised junction at about the location shown in the orange on that plan. It's approved a series of parameter plans, so these are kind of blocky plans, if you like, of the scheme or of the site, which show locations of development, locations of green space, and the key kind of routes through the site, so pedestrian and vehicular routes through the site. Those are the kind of principles that are established through those parameter plans, and which our reserve matters proposals need to adhere to. It established that we'd need to provide a new primary school playing pitch, so that's to allow for the Two Rivers Primary School to expand to accommodate additional children in the future. And it also approved the requirement for another playing pitch to the south of the site, allotments, orchards and play area, so they all need to be component parts of the proposal. There's also kind of a package of Section 106 obligations, so planning obligations that we need to deliver alongside the development. So that includes pedestrian and cycling improvements along the A4 and into Keynsham. So that's pretty much from Salford all the way along the A4 and back into Keynsham up to Keynsham Park. So I think it's about 2 kilometres worth of pedestrian and cycle improvements along that route. And then there's a whole heap of other measures as well, which amounts to about £3 million worth of contributions to education and towards the Manor Road Community Woodland, various other elements as well. So it's a big scheme, but there are some big financial contributions and kind of mitigation measures that go along with it as well. If you can hop onto the next slide, great. So in terms of, I guess that's the backdrop to it all. In terms of working up our proposals, so I guess the starting point for us was to we obviously acquired the site with a planning permission. So that planning permission was obtained by a developer called McTaggart and Mickle. So we purchased the land off them with that outline planning permission. And then the starting point for us was to go back through the outline planning permission and all the comments that were made by statutory consultees and by the public, in order to provide a bit of a context as to how we would then take our proposals forward. So we are adhering to all the kind of principles as set out previously, and also doing our best to address comments that were made at the outline stage where possible, I guess. So in terms of our proposals, we have submitted the application, and I think that went in mid-January. So the application is up and running, and that is for effectively the detail of what the development will look like. So that's layout, scale, landscaping and appearance. So those are the kind of key features, and then there are the other kind of interlinked elements of ecology and flood risk and trees and those kind of things that kind of all interlink and in order to make the development. So in terms of what our proposal is, so it's for a total of 208 homes, so slightly less than the 213 that was kind of allowed for under the permission. We are proposing 30% of the homes to be affordable housing, and that's that equals 62 homes, and 47 of those are social rent, and 15 are shared ownership homes. We've agreed a mix of accommodation to meet the housing needs with the affordable housing officers at Baines, so that's kind of all woven into our proposals. In terms of the layout, so you've got a screen grab there of the layout. So really, again, following the principles that were established at the outline stage of that kind of key boulevard, if you like, down running north-south through the site. So we've got a green corridor to one side with some kind of formal street trees, and it really is kind of set up to be quite a formal character. So street trees, big grass verge, a swale running down there, so that's effectively a ditch that accommodates surface water runoff and improves the water quality and transfers that water down into the central area of the site, which is an area of attenuation. I'll come on to that in a minute. So we've got this kind of formal character running down the centre of the site and then linking into the existing Hooger Park development. Sat behind that, and particularly around the edges of the development where we're kind of fronting onto green space, the character becomes far less formal, private drives and if you like around those edges, and key components of the development really is that landscape that runs all the way through and through the development. In terms of scale of the proposals, predominantly we're looking at 2-storey housing. There are some house types that are 2.5 storey, so that's effectively rooms in the roof with dormer windows, and then there are some elements of 3-storey. So where we've got the formal character of the main road, Spine Road running through the site, that's 3-storey in part, predominantly 3-storey, and then fronting onto the Bath Road and in the apartments kind of that are located just in that kind of small block in the centre of the site. There are some 3-storey apartments there as well. The rest 2-storey. So flood risk and drainage is obviously a kind of fundamental part of the detailed design of the scheme, and I know it's, you know, with all the rain that we've had recently, it's high on everyone's agenda at the moment, and rightly so. So again, on that plan, I'm not sure if you can make it out, but hopefully you can. There's a green corridor running through the centre of the site, and there are 3 kind of blue patches within that. So these are attenuation basins. So they will be pretty much empty for the vast majority of the year. There are some kind of elements of permanent water for biodiversity improvements, but they will effectively accommodate all the water from storms from the development, and then hold the water and release it at a really low level, so at a lower rate than it would do currently, and then release it into the stream that runs through the site. And finally, on this slide, ecology is obviously also very important. Again, at outline stage, there was principles established in terms of retention of key features. So you can see again the green hedgerow running through the centre of the site with some established trees being a key feature. Around the woodland edge, we're proposing additional planting and buffering in order to mitigate the impact on the woodland, and really we've sought to retain as much as we possibly can and then enhance other features in order to try and kind of fulfill the principles of achieving a biodiversity net gain that were set out in the outline stage. And then on to the last slide for me, at least. So this is just to give you a flavour of the appearance. So colours aren't quite working on here, but in terms of appearance, really tying in with the overarching character of Hooger Park by using the buff brick, some use of grey brick as well. At Curo, we tend not to use render if possible, because it doesn't tend to last that well. So we're using a grey brick to give some variance, and then some blue lyre stone as has been used on the phase 1 and is common in the local area. And then again, kind of tying in with the character of the adjacent development in using cladding, but because the site's a pretty big size, also creating some variance and some character of its own with some different coloured cladding, so some darker cladding that you can see on that image. And then finally, landscaping is incredibly important, and the open space provision is a massive benefit of the development. So in the southern end of the site, you'll see the new community sports pitch which we're proposing, the allotments and some orchard planting down there, as well as a play area. And we've got 2 play areas, one for older children and then a kind of little ones play area in the well, more centrally within the site as well. And then that bottom image is an image kind of from the Bath Road. So we're also proposing an area of open space along that Bath Road frontage to give a bit of breathing space to the Bath Road, which can feel quite tight, and particularly, you know, around the bus stop, which will be a new bus stop to give, you know, the ability for people to use that area whilst, you know, waiting for the bus, etc. So I think I'll pass on to you now, Mukhtar.
Okay, thanks, Pete. I'm assuming people can hear me okay. Alan, nod your head. Great. Okay. I'm Mukhtar. I work in the affordable housing development team. So as Pete said earlier, Pete works for Curo Enterprise, the in-house house builder. I work in the affordable team, so we focus on affordable housing schemes. But we are one big happy family at Curo. Can you move on, Siri? Thank you. Okay. So Tintagel Close. So you'll all know that the building is still there, but it is very nearly empty. There's actually only one household still living there, who we're hopefully going to rehouse fairly soon. And there's one leasehold property that we're negotiating the repurchase of. So you probably all know that a big decision was taken by Curo to demolish the building. Most of our time has been on rehousing people, but we are now progressing plans for the new build scheme to replace it. So this is a summary of what I'm going to talk about. It's important to say on this scheme, this is part of a consultation process we're undertaking. So over the next few weeks, we've got various different events, talking to various stakeholders, and it's culminating in a public consultation drop-in at the Queen's Road Centre next to Tintagel Close on the 8th of March. We're going to give you a few more details about that a bit later on, and we'll send you more details about that after the meeting. Okay, so yeah, if you move on, Siri. Okay, so the two photos here, on the left, hopefully you can see it, it's highlighted is the Tintagel Close building, and then to the left of it is an area of open space. It's basically just grassland, which people walk across, dog walkers, and there's a small play area there. So that land is owned by Curo, although the grass is cut by Baines. So on the right hand side, that photo shows enlarged Tintagel Close and some of that open space. So we looked at this a while back, and one of our key aims is to replace the affordable homes we will lose at Tintagel Close. So there's 44 of those altogether. So you don't need to be an architect to realise that if we stick to the existing footprint of Tintagel Close, the only way we're going to do that is build a block of flats, and nobody really wants that. So in order to replace those 44, we will have to build on part of that open space, which is currently classified as for recreational use in Baines local plan. So what we're going to propose, I'll come on to the next slide, is that we can build on that land for affordable housing, but improve what remains. So this is the proposed site layout for the new scheme. There's quite a lot here. I'll summarise a few key elements. So there's 45 new homes on this layout, a mixture of ranging from 1-bed flats through to 4-bed houses. So there's a couple of 4-bed houses. Most are 2- and 3-bed houses. There are 18 1-bed flats, but they're in small blocks of 3 scattered around the scheme. And each flat has its own private entrance. So the design we've got is a block of 3 flats, ground, first and second floor, but each has its own private entrance, obviously up stairways for the first and second floor flats. We've also all the 3-bed houses and most of the 2-bed houses have what we call integrated parking. So we're calling them carports at the moment rather than garages, and we're thinking through how to design them so that people do use them for parking rather than storage. Parking is always an issue on new developments, and it's a bit of a mess at Tintagel Close at the moment. So the reason we've got that design is to try and reduce the amount of parking that will be on the street. There is still parking on the street, or parking courtyards, which you can see for a number of the properties. So every dwelling has at least 1 parking space, which will be allocated. There's some visitor parking spaces as well. And also every space, hopefully, will have an electric vehicle charging point. So there'll be a feed pillar in each space, either for 1 space or shared amongst 2 spaces. So every property will have the ability to charge an electric vehicle. There'll be no gas in these properties. So the current proposal is there'll be air source heat pumps for all the houses, and a combination of a modified air source heat pump for the hot water in the flats, and the flats will have an electric panel system for heating. So we're working out the technical details of that, but that's the current proposal. We put in that to the planning officers, so it complies with their sustainable energy policy. Okay, so the other thing I really want to highlight is we're building obviously on part of the existing open space, but we are proposing what we think is quite a big improvement to what remains. So there are a lot of trees on the remaining area. There'll be some wildflower meadow, and we're also incorporating some of the drainage strategy as attenuation basins that Pete's described on the Bath Road development. So we're using them as part of the landscaping features, and essentially we think this is an opportunity to improve the area as a whole. So it's not just about the new homes. The public space is just as important to us. So hopefully that will be of benefit to the surrounding area, neighbours and anybody else who wants to use that area. So when we do the consultation, we really particularly want people's views about how we intend to landscape and improve that area. Okay, move on then, Suri. So, as I said earlier, this is the beginning of a consultation process. We'll be issuing a community newsletter by the end of next week. I say newsletter, it's 2 pages, and it'll go to all the neighbours. It'll give them a brief update of what we're planning to do, but also we're running an online survey until the 12th of March, and the QR code is there. We'll send that across to you when the survey goes live, which will be towards the end of next week. And that newsletter will also include an invitation to the public consultation drop-in, which I mentioned earlier, which will be on Friday, the 8th of March at the Queen's Road Centre. We're also meeting with various other people, Keynsham Town Council, and also your good self, Alan, next Tuesday. We've got a meeting in the diary, and we're meeting the Baines planning and design officers to go through in more detail what we're proposing to do the week after next. So there's quite a lot of events going on. We want people's feedback on what we're planning to do, and then we intend to submit a detailed plan application, hopefully during or by the end of May. We then intend to demolish the existing building during the summer through or autumn at the latest, but obviously that depends on the building being emptied. And then we're intended to start on site with the new scheme around spring next year, with about 18 months to build it, which will mean it'll be finished around autumn 26. So that is obviously subject to the planning process and getting that planning consent. So, okay, so that's Tintagel Close.
You might have frozen there.
Oh, can you still hear me?
I can. It ended. Or I couldn't hear you beyond that subject to the planning process.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. Well, I think that's where I finished on that, on Tintagel Close. So,
that'd be bad.
Okay. We've got a couple of slides here about garage redevelopments, which we've already consulted on previously. So this is just a quick update to say the planning applications for these 2 schemes will be going in fairly shortly. And then obviously it depends on getting that planning consent when we're able to start on site with those. So I wasn't going to say too much on those because we've been through them. We've talked to people already about those. Hopefully people are reasonably familiar with what's intended there. Okay, so I think that's our presentation done. So obviously happy to have any questions.
Okay, thank you for that. Can I just grab the microphone initially? Myself and Dave Biddleston look after a ward that has 4 new developments on it over the last 15 or so years. And every one of them lacks sufficient width in the roads, lacks sufficient areas around the houses to park vehicles, even where they allegedly have garages. The garages are great as long as you don't want to get out of your car when you get in there. And the result of that is that there is pavement parking all over the place, or alternatively, cars drawn up onto the short run into their garage, which then blocks the pavement. So that's one question I have. Another one is why you're not looking to put photovoltaic panels on roofs to provide a good level of power. Yeah, probably. I think that's it, really. So I don't know whether you have answers to those couple of questions.
Yeah, well, on Tintagel Close, yeah, parking is always an issue. I think Pete probably knows that much better than I do. And we have to balance between what the plan officers or their highways colleagues are asking us as part of their parking strategies and plans, but also the reality that people will buy cars and use them. So, and at Tintagel Close, as I said earlier, it is a bit of a mess there. So that's why we've come up with a design which we don't normally have, which is a carport or a garage. I'm having an internal discussion with colleagues, which sounds a bit anal, but I'm asking them, in fact, tomorrow, is there a way, a design or a management way that we can ensure people use these spaces for parking rather than storage? That's why at the moment we're not calling them garages, because it may be people are more likely to use them for parking if they're open rather than storing stuff, which might disappear. But it's always a perennial issue, Alan. I suppose on Tintagel Close, we're a bit more in control. We can try and manage it better than we might do elsewhere. So
yeah, okay.
And on the PV panels, we may have those at Tintagel Close, so we're working through what's called the energy strategy. But we know we can't put gas in there, so the general approach is usually we call fabric first. So you try and insulate the building as it is, or make it as energy efficient as possible before you start introducing renewable elements. But it may well be that we do end up having PV panels alongside the air source heat pumps.
Okay,
that's the next level of technical detail to work out. Yeah.
Okay, and presumably then, as you're putting in charging points there, Peter, will you be putting in charging points on the development on the Bath Road?
Yeah, so from a Bath Road perspective, again, I'd echo exactly what Mukhtar said about parking. So the council has parking standards, new parking standards, which it adopted in 2023, which really do seek to reduce the number of parking spaces. So we will provide as many as we can, because we kind of understand the issue, and above all, that's what people want. But there is this drive towards more sustainable travel as well, and reducing parking being a means to encourage that. With such good transport links from Bath Road as well, we've probably got the best opportunity there of doing that, but completely get your point, and it's just a balancing exercise that we've got to do. In terms of sustainability, yeah, I mean, we will be building to really high sustainability standards. So again, Baines have their own policy. It's a really, really high policy bar, and that requires really thermally efficient buildings, but it also requires air source heat pumps and photovoltaic cells on the roof as well.
Okay, best of luck with preventing people using their cars. I think you're onto a loser there, but that's only my humble opinion. Andy, I think you had your hand up, or if you lost interest. Oh, perhaps you were just moving around out of picture, not to worry. No, physically your hand, I meant. No, that's okay. Anybody else?
Alan, there are some questions in the chat, so I don't know whether colleagues can take them in order. Started with Barend, who asked about the porous tarmac. Will you be using porous tarmac to reduce the rain runoff?
So on our development, it's not something that forms part of the current proposal. The issue really is adoption, because those areas will be adopted by the Highways Authority, and then it's a lot more of a costly solution. So the long-term prospects for that kind of approach doesn't always work. But the way that the ground is anyway isn't very porous, so it requires essentially all the water to be connected together and then retained in a basin, and then released, rather than infiltrating through the ground surface anyway.
On Tintagel, we're a bit less advanced on the detailed design, so we're working through.
Frozen again.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Me, or have you dropped out, Mukhtar?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Oh,
it's Alan then.
Must be me then. Sorry.
Is someone trying to keep him quiet? On Tintagel Close, we're working through the detailed drainage strategy. We're not quite as advanced as Bath Road, and some of the main road, new road leading will be adopted, but the rest of it won't be. It will be in Curo's ownership. So we haven't ruled out porous surfacing, but we've got to look at different surfaces and finishes for us to maintain and also to satisfy the planners. And as I said before, and Pete echoed, we've also got a similar attenuation basin strategy, which will form part of the new landscaping for Tintagel Close.
Sorry, one other question I'd like to ask Peter. The people who buy your properties, are they going to be tied into having to have a paid for management system? Because that's what seems to have happened on the 4 developments on my patch, that people are paying significant lots of money for not a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's generally the way of new developments, because the alternative is for the open spaces to be adopted by local authority or town councils, and generally they don't have the money to maintain them. So I think there are numerous instances of management companies not working very well. I think the key difference with Curo delivering something is that we've got a vested interest in making sure that the management company works well and is affordable. Because we're going to retain 30% of the housing there, so we've got a long-term interest in it. So it is something that we've battled with in the past, and I know it's something that's a cause for concern for many people, but hopefully we're putting really stringent measures in place to make sure that places are properly maintained and it's not an extortionate rate for residents.
And does that attention go to your tenants that live on Bilby Green, Chawton Fields or Chawton Park or whatever it's called, and the development beyond that which doesn't have a name, and for that matter the meadows as well, because you have properties there, but equally they are tied to a management company.
So I guess Mukhtar might jump in here, but there's a difference between those developments that we do, that we have autonomy over, and developments where we purchase affordable housing units from other developers, and we probably have less say on those, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Normally in where you've got a private development like Bath Road, but essentially with some affordable dwellings, the Section 106 agreement that is signed with the local authority as part of the planning consent, and it happens in Baines and most of the local authorities, they will cap the service charge for the affordable residents. So even if the costs exceed that, we legally, Curo, as the landlord, we can't charge the actual residents more than that. So in practice, everybody else ends up paying part of the cost. But the reason why the local authority put that in there is because of that concern about service charges becoming unaffordable in the future. On Tintagel Close, which is going to be our development, we are the management company. So there's that improved landscaping area. The assumption is Curo will maintain that. We already own that, even though Baines cut the grass on it at the moment. So we are assuming that we will look after it. So part of the discussion I'm having with colleagues is, we need to be prepared to look after that, the trees, the wildflower meadow, and everything else that goes with it. They will say, oh, that's going to cost a lot of money. Who's going to pay for it? And then we'll work that through between us.
Okay.
Alan, there's a couple of other questions. There's some comments which we'll share with colleagues about revisiting some of the flooding and the runoff from other developments and reviewing some of that, and some suggestions about some public open spaces and some a pump track. I don't know what that is, but that sounds exciting. And waste and recycling from Lisa, making some connections. But the question from Scott in the chat was, will Curo be finishing Woodland View as per the planning permission before starting with Ease Green?
I think that's reference to some last bits of landscaping. I'm not personally involved in that scheme, so I'm afraid I can't comment on whether it is or isn't finished. But if we're obligated to finish a development, then we will, and certainly it'll be a while before we start on site on the Bath Road development I've been talking about. There are things like constraints of planting seasons and such, but I can't comment on that kind of specific comment, I guess.
We'll share some of these comments and questions, Peter, and if you've got any additional comments, we can share that then back with the forum. There's another question from Dave Biddleston about how many houses are genuinely affordable on a realistic joint income of 40,000. Are they going to be able to buy a home outright without additional rent?
Sorry, is that a reference to shared ownership?
It doesn't specifically say. I don't know whether Dave's still on the call. Dave, I don't know if you wanted to jump in there.
Yeah, I'd be very happy to. I know that working with young families in Keynsham means that their joint incomes are usually, when they're in their 20s with a child or two, about £40,000. Mm-hmm. So realistically, they'll be looking at buying a house for what, 160,000? So will your homes, or the homes that you're going to make available, be genuinely affordable, or are they going to be artificially rigging the market, in my opinion, and providing additional rents to those people that can't afford inflated figures?
There's different tenures. So there's the open market dwellings on Bath Road, which may not be affordable on a £40,000 income, I'm not sure. But there'll be some shared ownership dwellings both on that scheme and on Tintagel Close. So one of the advantages of shared ownership is, so you buy a share of the property, but you only, so that's the mortgage you have to raise and the deposit you have to raise. So it's not on the full value of the property. So that makes getting a deposit and a mortgage much more affordable. Obviously, you might say the downside is you have to pay a rent on the remaining part of the equity, which comes to Curo, but that rent is capped, it is limited. So we do quite a big, go through quite a long process of assessing affordability for the shared ownership properties. So we're targeting the right people. And then obviously the social rent properties are, well below the market rent figure, and they'll go through to people on the housing register. I don't know if that helps, David.
Look, it's not your fault. The housing market is what it is, and prices are what they are. But I tend to think that people really ought to be fully aware that young people on joint incomes of reasonable, hard-working individuals should be able to buy a house. We're not talking about a flash house, but a realistic. I mean, if the market was to support those individuals to buy a house outright, I think it's damnably appalling that they have to pay rent in addition to what they can afford on a mortgage. And I think everybody needs to know very clearly that that is my position.
Yeah, well, for what it's worth, I agree with you. So it's obviously part of a much, much wider problem about the lack of housing overall in this country. So I guess in our defence, we're trying to do our bit to help, but it's not going to solve the problem. Yeah.
You're a lovely man, Mukhtar, and thank you for putting up to it with me.
Probably best not to call them affordable.
Yeah, well, I think it depends what you're talking about. Yeah, so we do, obviously the shared ownership and the social rent is affordable. They are affordable products, slightly different ones, targeted at different people. But the market will determine what the open market dwellings sell for. Yeah, obviously much higher figure.
Okay. There is a suggestion from Lisa Gore, who spoke to us earlier, that it would be good, Mukhtar, to link up with her to have a chat about the new Tintagel.
Yeah.
And so perhaps you could take that on board, please.
Yeah, more than happy to do that. We can swap contact details, emails. I think that if we can get those across.
Have a look on the circulation list. Yeah, thank you. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I think looking at the list I can see, I didn't. Some of it talks about.
Andy's got his hand. Andy's waving.
Got his hand up, definitely, man.
I don't know. You tell me I've got my hand up when I haven't, and you ignore me when I put my hand up. But never mind. That's fine. I'm very happy to be involved. There's been a lot of talk by both developments about car use and parking on the pavement and EV charging and all the rest of it. But neither has mentioned active travel, walking and cycling. Now, Peter knows my views because we have already had a meeting with him. But so my question is really aimed at the Tintagel development, because the Tintagel development is quite a long way from the centre of Keynsham. I just wondered if there was any thought about cycle routes or traffic-free routes for pedestrians to get from Tintagel to the town centre.
Yeah, I'm not sure we'll be able to put that sort of thing in just on the back of Tintagel Close, but we're going to have discussions with the planning officers around travel plans and strategy. So that work has begun, and I guess we'll try and incorporate what we can as part of the Tintagel Close redevelopment to make links. But I appreciate it is, it's not a sustainable location as Bath Road is. Yeah. Sorry, Andy, that's not very much to say at the moment, but we can certainly look at that and come back to you on it with any proposals as we firm them up. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to, I listened to what Alan says about not being very positive about reducing cars, and if we don't put in the opportunity to not travel by car, then Alan, I'm afraid he's right, isn't he? And that always upsets me. So that's why I raised it. So we need
that's fair enough. Yeah.
About active travel and other forms of travel. I know the bus route up there isn't exactly brilliant either. So I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Andy, could I have a note from you saying that I might be right so I can show my wife?
Anytime, Alan, anytime.
Any other questions, folks?
There's something on the chat from Ian about the management company.
It might be me that's dropped out.
Oh, have we covered that? I think we've covered that, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Have you identified anything else in the chat, Sarah?
No, I think some of them are comments which we can pass on, and we'll share them all. And if we need a response, we can get that back in our follow up. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So if there are no other questions, we'll draw that bit to the close. Can I thank all three of you from Bureau for your attendance and for the information that was of interest for sure. So yeah, thank you very much, gents, and no doubt we'll hear from you again as time goes on.
Thank you. That's been very helpful. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Good. So we're more or less at the end. We're going to talk about the dates for future meetings, but we're also going to talk about, I think, I'm looking towards the two ladies. Were you wanting to talk about the potential the recycling centre for future meeting?
Yeah, I think Alison's going to give us a bit of a potential update of a visit for the next meeting. Al, do you want to give an update?
I can do. I'm just scrabbling around looking for the date. What we're hoping to be able to do, I think a while back, we promised you a behind the scenes tour of the recycling centre, which I'm trying to organise with colleagues, and to have a little bit more of a relaxed meeting, maybe a bit of a summer social if the weather's nice, and to get you some related sort of further presentations from colleagues involved with the recycling centre, if that would be of interest. If not, and you would prefer to have the usual format and a meeting, the community space isn't actually available, but we could look for another venue. Let us know. Just feedback to us, pop something in the chat that what you would prefer to do. Thank you.
You're on mute,
You're
Alan.
on mute. Some people prefer me like that. Yeah, the next two meetings are Thursday the 13th of June and Tuesday the 10th of September. So they're going to be sort of live face-to-face jobs. I think the thought was that on a miserable night like tonight, not everybody wants to go out. So doing it over Teams perhaps helps 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 meetings. But please feedback if you feel that you want them all to be face to face, then that's fine. But we need to know that, you know, we can only work on what we think might be a good idea. But what's a good idea to me might not be a good idea to you. So please let us know what you think. So I think that's all, but again, I'm going to look towards Sarah and Alison. If there's anything I've missed, please tell me. I'm sure you would anyway. No, okay, well, we're finished. Thank you all. Thank you, Adrian, for being there as well and support. Thank you all for your attendance. Have a safe journey home, but most of you are there anyway, so it shouldn't be too much of a challenge. Yeah, look forward to seeing you in June on the 13th. Thank you all for your input and your attendance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks all.
Thanks. Bye.